What's up, guys? This week I am doing something a little different than those long form, scripted, nicely edited videos that I hope to get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. I'm still an active investor, so I have a lot going on, like managing our properties, doing the finances, finding new markets, etc., etc. So I don't always have time to like research and write and edit these videos. And in the spirit of keeping with the consistency of posting weekly, I figured I'd just put out in like investment update, kind of what's going on in my life, real estate related. So I hope you can still find some value in these videos. I'm not quite sure how they'll be received, but it's basically going to be a rundown of any issues I'm facing, any new investments, new developments on my portfolio, and just kind of like what I'm seeing in the real estate market. So I'm just going to kind of keep it light, keep it brief, minimal edits, just kind of speak what's on my mind. So I have some brief notes here, but I'm just going to run through what's going on. So some of you might have seen I have a 2-family for sale. I did a video on it, a few weeks ago on why I'm going to sell. I own it with my dad, so he's retiring and he needs the money. And then me and my wife are going to reinvest the funds. That is still TBD. And the sale is actually still under agreement, so I can't give too many details about it, but I can say that I listed it for $850,000 and the accepted offer is well over. So I hope when it's all said and done, if everything goes right, hopefully I can put out a piece on that. And I'm thinking about maybe doing just like an investment overview of that, because we've had it since 2015, 2016, just to kind of see how that unfolded over the year, because it's a really good investment. So that is the update on the sale, and that'll close probably the end of this month if everything goes well. The next thing I'm dealing with is we have this cottage up in New Hampshire at a property that I spotlighted a few videos ago. I did a walkthrough through. We have like this big main house up there, and I did a little walkthrough property tour of that. And then we also have these 3 other units, these 2 studios, and then there's this cottage in the back that we renovated, and that one went way over budget. I also have a video on that if you want to see it. But anyway, that cottage is now all renovated. It's been rented long term to a nice couple. It's a great little standalone 2-bed, 1-bath cottage. We did it all like super modern. It's like all white with natural wood and then some like forest green finishes. So it came out really well. We took our time with it. So that is turning over. I've been trying to re-rent it, but I think it's like a time of the year thing where there's just not a lot of people looking up there. So I haven't had much luck, which is it's kind of unexpected, because the last time I put it on, I rented it like within 2 days. There was a ton of interest. So I'm thinking it's maybe just like a market timing thing. But anyway, we decided to just turn that into a furnished rental. So we're letting them out of their lease early. We're going to get up there, furnish the place, and put it on Airbnb probably from like June through October. It should do pretty well. There's good demand up there. And then after that, it could be a midterm rental. We do a lot of furnished rentals for traveling nurses in that area, because there's like this little medical hub in Littleton, which is just the town over. So we have really good luck with that. So we kind of went from long-term unfurnished back to now trying this furnished model where we can pivot from the short-term rentals and then to the midterm rentals and even long-term. I mean, some people just want furnished rentals, and we plan to do a really good job with this. Like to the best of our ability, we're going to like curate the interior finishes and the furniture and things like that. We've gotten pretty good at it. I wouldn't say we're interior designers by any means, but it's a pretty fun process, and I think we do all right with it. So we'll try to get out some before and afters of that project too. I think we should be up there in May. All right, next thing I've been working on, just like everyone, is taxes. They're pretty brutal with, 7 properties, and then being self-employed. So they always take up a ton of my time, but luckily I have a good accountant, and now we have good records. I get everything on QuickBooks. So kind of streamlined it. And this year we actually owe taxes, which we Haven't had to pay for the last 2 years. I'm not trying to brag. Just we did this thing called cost segregation. So it's basically you have an investment property. Typically, it's depreciated over 27 and a half years if it's residential. So you can elect to take all that depreciation in like the first year or two. So you have this massive like paper loss for tax purposes. And then you can use that loss to offset against any income. So we did that for 3 properties and we've just been offsetting income for the past 2 years, but now that's kind of caught up. So now we owe, which is fine. I mean, I don't think I'm going to do that in the future. Our goal was to do it, and then all the money we saved on taxes, just kind of reinvest in the properties. I think we did it well. We used a lot of it for that cottage renovation, but it doesn't like save you tax money. It's just a big write-off in 1 year, but then you don't have anything to write off for like the next, 26 years. So you're going to be paying more on that property if you hold it long term because you don't have that depreciation write-off. So I think for the other properties, we're just not going to go that route and just, pay taxes as normal. It was a good experiment, and I think it works better for maybe like some larger multifamily deals. But for us, I mean, I'm still not quite sure like how much we got out of it. And the next thing I've been dealing with and will be dealing with for the next month or two is just like general rental turnover in our long-term portfolio. So I get renewals out in May. I already have some tenants, saying they're not going to renew. So that's kind of a process. I mean, it happens every year. I think last year everyone stayed, which was nice, except for one unit. But this year we might have a little bit more turnover. So that's just like I'm going over to the properties. I am walking through, getting videos, getting good pictures, updating everything, seeing if any work needs to be done before it turns over. And then I'm listing it by owner. I always list it by owner because most of these long-term rented properties are all like within a quick drive of here. So I'll go out and do the showings. I'll meet the tenants, kind of introduce myself. I feel like it works out better that way where like they're actually meeting the landlord when they walk through. And then also I don't charge them broker fees, which are really common in this area. Every apartment listed by a broker, you have to pay 1 month's rent up front. So I'll list mine all without a fee. So I typically can get a little higher pricing or definitely competitive pricing. But also the tenants aren't paying any unnecessary fees or anything. And they love that. So I'll typically get a lot of good interest. Yeah. For like May and June, I'll be getting those settled. And it's just like kind of drags on the process because you're advertising, following up, showing, getting leases signed, screening, things like that. And then we are heading up to our Vermont property, which I did a video on. It was like one of my first videos on the YouTube channel. If you want to see a little bit about that, there's not too many pictures of like the interior and sort of the work we did. So I'm hoping when we go up there, I can get some footage and maybe do a little like property walkthrough or just kind of like a summary of the investment or something like that because we love the place. We actually tried to sell it like 6 to 8 months ago and the market was just terrible. So it didn't move. We couldn't get anywhere near what we wanted for it. So I ended up keeping it, which I really wanted to do. I love the town. I love the property. And now we have both units up there rented. It's a standalone barn, which is like this really cool, like 2-floor layout with a huge porch. And then a main house, which is also very cool. It's kind of architecturally designed. It's like built into the hill. So both of those are rented through, I think, August 31st. The barn might be rented longer, but it's just turned into a great property for long-term rentals because people want to live in that area. And the only things for rent really are short-term rentals. So we kind of pivoted to long-term because we have a pretty low rate on our mortgage. We bought it like in the depths of COVID. I think our rate is like 2.8%, which is like, you're just never going to get that anymore. So I definitely prefer to hang on to that property, just rent it. It cash flows pretty well. And it's just a nice long-term hold for us. And then when it is a short-term rental, we definitely like to get up there and visit from time to time. So the next thing I did this week, which I've been meaning to do forever, is an off-market mailing. I used to do a lot of these back when the market was a lot better, like pre-COVID, pre-rate hikes. And I paused just because there's nothing going on. Like just people people can't move because the rates are so high. So what are they going to buy? So even if I get in touch with them and they're like, yeah, I want to sell my property, they're going to look and not know where to go or not have enough money to buy something else at current rates. So I just kind of pause those because I couldn't find any investments around here, which I'm in Boston, so it's a super high price market. It's still basically uninvestable for guys like me. But now I'm starting to see some, like, I guess, like softening in some of these peripheral markets. So like around the city, maybe like 30, 40 minutes outside of the city. And then one that I really like is where we have our New Hampshire property. It's up in Bethlehem, New Hampshire. It's right outside of Littleton. I did a video on that, which YouTube actually liked and picked me up in the algorithm a little bit. So I don't know. I guess that's a good video. That's what they think, at least. But yeah, it's in my YouTube channel. It's like how to find markets with 20% plus return or something. So if you want to check that out, you can. But I've been really doubling down on that strategy. So I have identified some markets somewhat close to Boston that I think should be able to cash flow for multifamily properties. I am not going to give that away just yet because there's still not a ton of inventory out there. So I'm just kind of hitting those up with off-market mailings. Here's actually an exact picture of what I send out. It's just like a simple postcard. I do it through Vistaprint. I just want people to like see it in their mailbox and not like have to open a letter, because a lot of times they'll just throw the letter out anyway before they even open it. And I have pretty good responses to these. It's like super old school, but a lot of the landlords that own these places are old school and like still read the newspaper and check their mail every day and things like that. So I'm hoping that I get some responses for these markets. It's just kind of a tester right now. And then I do have like, I only sent out about like a quarter of the contacts that I have on the list I pulled. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited about it. Definitely feels good to be back out there trying to find some off-market deals, trying to make some investments happen. It's been a long time since the market's been pretty stagnant. And to be honest, it's not really that much better now. But I think people are just kind of coming to terms with like the reality that rates are what they are. So I'm just underwriting deals, based on current rates. I'll go to Google or whatever and just plug in investment rates. And if the numbers work, they work. And if they don't, then I don't really focus on that area. And so I found like some pockets around where all the boxes are being checked. So that's kind of exciting. And then lastly, the boring stuff. I got to do our financials. I get it all in QuickBooks and I have to keep it updated, but it is pretty nice to have, I think now I have like 2 years of records on QuickBooks. So once I get our monthly numbers updated, I can compare them like to the prior month, to the prior year before that. And it's really useful to just make sure that we are on track to make what we need to. It's a lot to keep track of like all the different bank accounts and transactions and money in and money out. And this process I have with QuickBooks makes it so at the end of the month, I can really look at what's going on and then you can make decisions off that, because otherwise it's so confusing having all these accounts for all different properties. So I really like that process now. It's just a matter of like keeping it up to date monthly. It kind of takes a lot of time, but totally worth it in the end. And I think that's about it. I hope this was kind of like a little look into what I do my day to day. I'm trying to update my Instagram a little bit more on this, maybe do some daily or like every other day posts on kind of like when I'm out and about doing things and just keep updated that way, because it's a lot easier than doing the full YouTube videos. But I at least will do a weekly update on YouTube and Instagram about what's going on with our properties, where my head's at with real estate, some other projects we're working on. So I'll be keeping updated on these items as well as probably adding some more as we go. But yeah, if you have any more questions about anything I mentioned here, leave a note in the comments. I'm happy to answer those. If you want me to elaborate on any of the projects we got going on right now, I could definitely do that in future videos. So yeah, I hope there was still some value from this. I know this really isn't what I've been doing, since I started putting myself out there. But maybe it's useful for some people, and also it helps me stay consistent and kind of keeps people updated on what's going on in my real estate world here. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you next video.